has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
All right, make sure you get the SportsGrid app on iOS or Android in the Play Store. It's free. It's amazing. You can watch the network, listen to the network, follow your favorite hosts, in-game odds, stories, highlights, videos. You get it all with the SportsGrid app. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Also, did you know we're streaming on X? That's right. Go to SportsGrid-Live, and you can watch us streaming on X every day, all day, 7 days per. You can get the Ferrall Coast to Coast and Ferrall on a Bench podcasts on iTunes. And as for tonight, you've got Game Time Decisions after this show at 6 to 8 with the mayor of Miami, Joe Ranieri, legend. And then in-game live from 8 to 10 with opposite picks, Scotty Wetzel, my boy, and Dave Sherrippen, the sportsbook consigliere. Also, Sports Rage, 10 to midnight, and Carver and Lisi, 8 to 10 on SportsGrid Radio. And it is all evolving rapidly, and we're excited about it. I know you are. Have you seen the Las Pages, Carver High, the new SportsGrid site on YouTube that people are signing up in droves for with Paige Sporanic? I've already signed up. I can't wait. She's taking over Sin City.
Yeah, I saw that. Very exciting stuff. That's going to be kicking later this week. So keep your eyes open for that. You've already signed up.
That is brilliant. I love that.
Very good. Nice job indeed. All right, last hour here, and we have a lot to do, a lot to get into because we have college rack tonight. We've got hockey tonight. Stewie's at Pebble Beach. So we have to make sure that we get all this stuff in.
A double shot with Stewie.
Stewie from Pebble. Thousands of NFL fans have posted on social media that they plan on boycotting the Super Bowl due to refs. They're lying. 80% of them are lying. They're going to watch the game anyway. They'll watch the game. It's such nonsense. And then we'll do the story on the Tuesday after the Super Bowl. Highest rated Super Bowl ever. What do you mean? What about all the people who said they weren't going to watch? Yeah,
they
sure.
lie.
You're not going to watch. Super Bowl tickets are cheaper than last year, likely to drop further. That's because the Chief fans can't spend this money every year. You know, when you have the same team in the game every year, eventually even their fans get, they're drained. I've gone 4 times now in the last 5 years. I can't spend another $100,000 to go away and get tickets and hotels and buy food. Am I wrong about that? It's got to be.
No.
You need new fan bases for the prices to be big. If it was Buffalo and Detroit, everyone would have went nuts. But Kansas City's there every year. Their fans can't go every year.
Yeah, it's like Gabe said. It's a bucket list thing. You do it once. I've been, going to this thing for 30 years. I've been going to this Media Row and Radio Row and the Super Bowls. And I have to tell you, when I went as a kid with my dad to Super Bowls, it was way cooler than it was even when I was older. I remember the last couple Steelers Super Bowl wins. The one at Ford Field in Detroit, and then the other Ben Roethlisberger Super Bowl over Zona, and when Holmes caught the pass in the corner of the end zone. I loved going to Steelers Super Bowls, and then I wouldn't walk around the corner. I'm just being honest. I wouldn't walk around the corner and pay money to see this. I hate both teams. I've already seen it once before. I know it's going to be a good game. That's great. But when I don't like the teams, it's not great for me personally. Not that I matter. I know I don't. But I'd much rather watch it with friends and family at a party or in a setting where I'm watching it on TV. I can enjoy myself than to blow $10,000 or more sitting and watching 2 teams that I despise. I wouldn't do it if you paid me. I mean, I'm just being honest. And then if you've gone. I won't deny, so I can't sit here and lie. I went to 8 of them for the Steelers. So I can't say I didn't go to all the Steeler ones. Every chance I got, I went to the Steelers Super Bowl. And I had that afforded to me. I took advantage of it. If you're a Chiefs fan that can afford it, you'll go. That's just all there is to it.
Yes, that is the case. And look, you've had in recent last 20 years, New England go all the time, Chiefs go all the time. And listen, it gets tiring after a while. Nothing has changed, by the way. 1.5 and 49.5. I will not update this really any further until it does change before we get to next week, which I don't think it will. I think it's going to stay right where it is until at minimum when you get there next week. I don't see 1.5 and 49.5 moving off those numbers, at least during this bye week, as they say.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think maybe next week there could be a little flicker of a change, but this week I think is kind of it's a dead period.
It's a dead period indeed. And I guess here you go. Super Bowl trophies all time. One man stands alone. He, of course, will be involved in the Super Bowl because he's calling it for Fox. 7 for Brady, 6 for the Patriots and Steelers, 5 for the Cowboys and Niners, 4 for the Packers, Chiefs, and Giants. And then you see, look at that little box in the bottom right corner. You know what that is? With that Buffalo Bill logo and several others? That's a 0. Those are the 0 club down there in the bottom right.
Oh, the pain.
Can't have it.
It's just
what are you
awful.
do? What are you going to do? It is what it is.
Hey, look, it's not your fault, Mike. You didn't have anything to do with it.
I don't play. I don't play in the game.
It's not your fault.
That's it.
Blame someone else. Kincaid dropped the ball. Blame him.
Kincaid dropped it. 57.7 million people watched that game. Second most watched non-Super Bowl game in NFL history, Bills and Chiefs.
Meanwhile, the
Sunday
other game
night.
Nobody watched because it sucked so bad.
Nobody was there I think it was like 40 as opposed to 57. It was like 17 less.
Nobody watched that national championship game either with those two great Ohio State and Notre Dame. You would think, because I would guess, to me, at the end of the day, Notre Dame is, I would think they have the most fans of any college football team ever. Like around the country, around the world, Notre Dame is like the Yankees and the Dodgers. It really is. And then no one watched the game. You know why? Because they played the game 6 months after the playoff tournament started. I mean, it was so embarrassing that they waited that many. They waited as many days as you're going to wait for the Super Bowl. They waited 11. We're going to wait 12 more for the Super Bowl. Like, it's so awful. Whoever thinks that waiting for the Super Bowl this many days is good for business, I don't get it. Like, I've never liked this 2-week period ever. And I think that what they did in college football was disastrous. That's why no one watched, because by the time the game rolled around, nobody gave a rat's ass anymore.
Now, my favorite headline of the past 12 to 24 hours was all the NFL insiders who tried to paint the picture that Mike McCarthy wants to focus on next year's hiring cycle. Let's spell it out for everyone in English since it's in Portuguese, Scotty. You ready? He's doing that because no one offered him a job this year. Just say it. McCarthy out. Cold. No one offered him a job.
That's right.
Framing it as he's going to focus on next year's jobs. That's because he didn't get one this year. That's why he's focusing on next year's jobs.
He might never get another one.
I mean, talk about holding water for a guy. I mean, how much did the agent give him for that one? Please make my guy look good. You gotta be kidding me. He didn't get a job. Of course he's got to focus on next year. No one wanted to hire him. God, it's just amazing. Cliff Kingsbury will stay in Washington as the offensive coordinator. That's the smartest thing
because he didn't get another job.
He didn't get another job either.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
One of the weirdest nicknames I've heard in fighting. You know, there's people have some strange nicknames at times, but the Lemon Killer. What do you even make of that? What is that about?
I don't even know what that means, but I'm gonna squeeze him like a lemon on the day we fight, and he's gonna pop.
Only on SportsGrid.
We're going to get rid of all the badness, if you will, over the past few decades for the Raiders and set yourself up for the future. It's a horrible job to take if you expect to win, but it's not a bad-paying gig, so go ahead and take it.
With an owner in Mark Davis who has continued to make bad decision after bad decision. Does Pete Carroll leave a culture behind that Joe Brady in 2 to 3 years takes over?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
He did nothing for 5 weeks. So he is becoming his brother. So I don't want to hear about how great TJ Watt is with his 0 playoff wins. And he's the first guy to admit it. He comes right out and says, I've never won a playoff game. I don't matter. All right, at least we all know who the best player on the team is. It's George Pickens. If you don't believe that, well, then screw you too.
Ferrall, coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
We'll see if they get McCain back. Kelly Oubre, Yabusele's been good. Caleb Martin's a defensive specialist. Andre Drummond can still give you, almost a double-double at any point. I can't go south on this team. And now you're giving it to me at 2-1 to make the playoffs? To be in the Final 8? Folks, give me the Philadelphia 76ers to make the playoffs at plus 210.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall, coast to coast, here on a Wednesday. Yes, that's right, a Golf Wednesday on C2C. And every week, Keith Stewart from Read the Line is with us as we get ready for all of our golf action this coming weekend. And for the first time this season, aside from computer-simulated events, we have Keith on the road, Pebble Beach, baby. Let's go, out on the West for the Pro-Am, 80 golfers, signature event. This is where I always say it starts to really crank up and we start moving. Keith, good to see you as always.
Mike, it's great to be with you on a Golf Wednesday. And you know who else is joining us on this Golf Wednesday? The number one player in the world, Scotty Scheffler, decides to show up after the holiday ravioli incident, which I still can't believe that he told the story yesterday in the press room. Man, what a wild set of circumstances where this guy impaled his own hand.
Guy tried to cut ravioli pasta with a wine glass. Was basically what he explained to you guys yesterday. Unbelievable. Yeah, I'm going to play the Rory clip for Scotty later of him being like, just go, can you buy a chef? Can you hire a chef? And just get it over with. So I thought that was pretty good too. Before we get to Pebble, we did have TGL on Monday night this week. And I'm guessing, Keith, they switched to Mondays on the weeks where they have guys have a long trip like the Pebble Beach. So I guess that's why they try to maybe change the night up a little bit. But you had Tiger and Rory, little bump back up in terms of viewership. And for the first time, a close match, an overtime match. That was fun to see.
Well, this is what we've been waiting for. And, everybody loves the concept, but they didn't like all the blowouts in the first 3 matches. And we had, 6 or 7 hammer tosses in this one. It came down to the final hole. And then, of course, we had to go and do a chip off, which was just absolutely what we wanted out of all of this, right? And the thing is that I think the MVP of the whole night, everyone's like Tiger, Rory, this. Forget it. It's Tom Kim, who I'm going to start calling Tom Sim. I mean, this guy was electric. Now, it's a little much for me at the President's Cup and everywhere else, but we need, personalities like him in TGL. So I loved every minute of that. And give me Tom Kim every week. And it was nice to see that Kevin Kisner showed up this week as well.
That is the perfect vehicle for people to see the personalities that some of these guys have, is in spots like that. People will become fans of Tom Kim and watch him on the weekends because of the personality that he has showing him on the TGL. All right, let's go. Pebble Beach, baby, this week. Now, I know it's not the first signature event of the year. We know the Century, the Tournament of Champions was, but we did not have some of the guys that are making their first appearance of this season. Scotty Scheffler is back. Rory's playing PGA Tour for the first time in 2025. Yeah. We have Jordan Spieth back off of his wrist surgery in the offseason. Tell us, Keith, how about having a lot of the big names back on the board this week?
Well, Carver, I knew when I was coming on for Golf Wednesday that the viewers, that's all they want to know. How's Scotty? How's Jordan? So when I got on property yesterday morning, that's the first people I was looking for. I found Scotty. He was doing a little practice putting, and then he was off on the first hole. I watched him play a couple holes. I also watched him practice a bunch this afternoon. Needless to say, he still knows where the center of the club face is, and he's pretty fired up about being back. He did not like watching all the competition throughout January. Some of those spots like Amex, he likes to go and play and warm up and get ready for signature events like this. So he is chomping at the bit. I think there could be a live betting opportunity here, because with 4 days and a guaranteed cut and a small field, if Scotty starts a little slow and we get a couple rabbits out there and he gets over 10-1, then I know you and I, the Prime Minister, everybody, Scotty, we are slamming the easy button, and that is an automatic live bet, and we can hope for that. Now, if he just starts going back to doing the things he was doing last year, then that number is not going to go up from 4 to 5 to 1, but I think there's an opportunity there. Jordan, on the other hand, was in the press room today, and he was a lot more pensive than Scotty was yesterday. Scotty, I'm back. I'm ready to go. I've hit a ton of balls. I know I'm ready. Today, Jordan, he was talking about the long road to recovery. He was testing drivers yesterday on the range. It seems to me like he's trying to get ready for Augusta, and Scotty's getting ready for tomorrow. So just kind of hedge your bets accordingly here. Both seem very healthy. Both were in great spirits. Jordan loves being here at AT&T. He's won here before. AT&T is one of his sponsors. He spends a lot of time here. And, I mean, who wouldn't want to be here? I mean, I know it's cool. It's very, very cold here for this time, for playing tournament golf, but it's dry for the moment, at least.
All right, well, I was going there next. Of course, last year we didn't finish here. Only 3 rounds. Wyndham Clark was the winner. They didn't play on Sunday. Only 2 courses now, remember, because since it's become a signature event. Pebble and Spyglass, they cut out the third one since we only have 80 golfers. Give me the news on the weather and the courses this week.
Okay, real quick, the format, when it shifted a year ago and became a signature event, we have Spyglass Hill, and we, of course, have Pebble Beach. We're going to play one of each with your amateur partner. So 80 professionals, 80 amateurs for 2 days. And then we play Pebble Beach all weekend, hopefully. Now, the first 2 days are just going to be cool, not very much wind, and no rain. Now, over the weekend, there's possibility that there's I don't know how they make up these names, but an atmospheric river coming towards us. So I seriously, I don't make these names up in order just to get you going, right? But there is a chance over the weekend we see a little wet weather, which has not happened around here. It hasn't happened for all of California. We've heard that. But the superintendent talked about the other day how dry the place has been. Wyndham Clark in the press center. This place has a ton of bounce. Scotty, this place is firm and fast. Jordan today, I've never played here when it's been so firm and fast. For me, when you start talking about Keith's keys, of course, it's putting the Poa annua. This Northern California Poa annua, the seed heads in the afternoon, you really got to be patient like you were down at Farmers. The second thing, the approach game. 75% of your approaches from 125 to 175, dial in those wedges. And the last thing, with all of this bounce and the smallest greens on tour here at Pebble Beach for 3 rounds, you better be a short game chef. Pardon the pun on Scheffler, but, you're going to have to get it done around these greens.
Atmospheric river. You came with me to Atmospheric River this week. I did not expect that I was going to hear that from you talking about the Pebble Beach that we have coming up. We will come back. We will get it all from Keith for this week. We have the outrights, the placements, the head-to-heads. Is Keith going to pick on Jordan again now that he's back in the field? We'll find out after the break. And the ladies start this week as well down in Orlando, so we've got to get a play there too. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Golf Wednesday. We're back on the grid right after this. what did you think of stopping him from winning?
Well, tell me this. What side of the fence is Ferrall on here?
Well, he absolutely hated it. I didn't like it, but he was much stronger on the hated the fact that they stopped the golf tournament. I didn't love it either.
If the golf ball, when you're standing over it and you're having golf balls move, they're going to have to halt play.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
You know, they have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back from Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday, a Golf Wednesday on C2C. Keith Stewart from Read the Line is with us from out at Pebble Beach to get ready for the Pro-Am this weekend. Let's get right into it. The outrights for Keith this week, including going back to the kid after a great start last week and then got hit by the bug on Friday and Saturday, slowed him down. But we're going right back to the well.
All right, Michael, here's the thing, right? There was two types of flu last week, and I'm going to cover the top of the board with my two picks right here at the top, like favorite-wise, right? Yeah, you had Ludwig, who you just mentioned, right? He was second here last year. This was a good time of year for him last year. He was rolling through Farmers. This is a great place where he could separate with the driver, just like Wyndham did last year. This is not a positional golf course when you drive the ball like Ludwig Aubert. Plus 2,000. I got a good number to start the week. I love him, and I love his ability to go driver, wedge, putter, just like he did when he won the RSM. Now, Ludwig, he had what I called the Oberg flu last week, right? Meaning we saw him on TV and how it affected his play. I mean, he was leading after round one, so we felt good. He looks good this week. My other favorite I like is Colin Morikawa at plus 1,400, and he had what I called the Genesis flu last week, which was the Genesis was coming to Torrey in 3 more weeks, and why do the South Course to yourself twice? And they saw the weather that was coming in for the weekend. Colin, perfect pick for this place. You know, a lot of people forget he went to Cal, which is nearby over there in Oakland, right? And so Cal, right, he's able to know the agronomy of this region, right? It's an accuracy contest. 4th tee to green, 3rd par 4 scoring. I love him on the Poana greens. I love this fit. 3rd shortest golf course on tour. Then I'm going to go down to my man, Sam Burns. Birdie Birds. That's right. Plus 4,000, 40-1. Number 1 ranked in the field for birdie or better. He was 10th here last year in his first signature event here start. Here's what sealed it for me on Sam, right? Scotty was in the press room yesterday. He stays with Sam. He played with Sam yesterday. He said, man, like he kind of anecdotally just threw it out there. Sam's playing really good right now. And then one of the reporters asked, who won today? And he goes, Sam's just playing really good right now. So, boom, I'm on Sam Burns. And the last one is Tom Kim. I think Tom Kim likes a little celebrity, right? He needs a signature event. And I started thinking about when you and I were together at the Travelers, you take away the Pacific Ocean, and I know it's not Cromwell, Connecticut here in Monterey, but what I'm saying is it's a very similar skill set. It's a very similar length golf course. You got to make a lot of birdies. You got to put the ball in play, and you got to score. Tom Kim, further down the board, he started the week at 66-1. He's down in the 50s. Everybody's betting him down because we're talking about him because after the MVP show he put on Monday as Tom Sim, you just got to love what he's ready to do in this type of elite field.
I've got him on my card as well, Keith. So I'm with you on Tom Kim this week. Let's go and get him. Give me the placements, including another guy that I like this week for some placement action. Double M, Maverick McNeely.
Well, we'll start at the top, a top 10 with Hideki, right? In his last 16 starts, Hideki's got 7 top 10s. He's ranked second in the field, tee to green. We all saw what he did at the Century. He looks really good. And remember, firm conditions is going to cause you to use your short game. One of the top 3 guys in the field when it comes to around the green acumen. Let's go further down the board, top 20s. Taylor Pendrith, he's been playing some fantastic golf. Over his last 5 starts, he's gaining over 5 strokes against the field. He bombs it, and he also scores all. You got to remember, the average winning score here is 19 under par. Through 3 rounds last year, Wyndham Clark won at 20 under par. You got to make some birdies here. This is the type of place for Pendrith. A couple years ago, he finished 7th. Tom Kim, hey, at 2-1, it covers my outright bet should he come in second to Colin, Ludwig, or Sam, right? So I love him there as a top 20. Top 30, yes, Maverick McNeely, our top gun. He grew up here. He's played here over 100 times. He's got a couple top 5s on the field. We took him top 40 last year. It cashed. I'm going top 30 this year. It's going to cash again. Bo Hostler, he's only started out his season with a 12th and a 15th, and he's got 3 top 15s in a row here on the property. Take him top 30. And the last one, the most undervalued guy on the board. Last week, Lee Hodges. We took him top 20. I live bet him, wrote the article in Golf Digest, said take him top 10 for plus 360. He cashed both of them for us, both last week. Lee Hodges is playing some great golf right now. Another golf course where his approach play is fantastic.
All right, Keith, the head-to-heads and slide in who you like for the ladies in Orlando.
All right, head-to-heads, I'm going with the defending champion over Jordan Spieth. I know, shocker. Clark, he loves this place. He feels really good, and Spieth hasn't played competitive golf since September. The second one, Colin over JT. This should be the perfect spot for JT, except he's got a putt Poana. I've been watching him practice. It doesn't look good. And the last thing I'll say, Hilton Grand Vacations, Tournament of Champions. The ladies are getting started this week. Brooke Henderson, plus 1,400, just like Colin. She's played there 3 times in this event at Lake Nona. And guess what? She's finished 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Take her this week.
Keith Stewart lead the line on Golf Wednesday. What did you think of stopping for Wynn?
Well, tell me this. What side of the fence is Ferrall on here?
Well, he absolutely hated it. I didn't like it, but he was much stronger on the hated the fact that they stopped the golf tournament. I didn't love it either.
If the golf ball, when you're standing over it and you're having golf balls move, they're going to have to halt play.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
You know, they have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Stewie's setting the bar high for the Pebble Beach, always an exciting tournament out in Northern California. It doesn't get any better or more beautiful than the great golf courses at Pebble Beach and everything that goes on there. So get your slips in, put it with the golf, Carver High, making people money with your boy Stewie.
I am very locked in this week, ready to rock. I love that me and Stewie are on a bunch of the same guys, reading the same mail, which is always outstanding here on C2C. All right.
Send them to me like you did last week so I can make some bets.
Let's go. We'll get involved. Let's get the college rack in because we have a lot of games tonight. A few things from last night first quickly. Michigan State beat Minnesota. I mean, they thumped them. They are undefeated in December and January for the first time in the Izzo era. They've won 13 games in a row, and it kind of feels like, flying under the radar. Can I say that? Like, I feel like no one talks about Michigan State this year, and they're just smashing everyone that gets put in front of them.
Yeah, and there's no doubt they won every game in December, every game in January. They've never done that, and here they are. The last time they did it, they won the national championship. So maybe they're in the mix. The thing that stood out to me, though, is really what a poser bunch Minnesota is. When they play at Williams Arena in Minneapolis and Garcia's lighting it up and hitting logo shots to win games in overtime, they look fantastic. I took a shot with them last night on the road, getting a bunch of points, and sure enough, they laid another egg. They cannot play basketball away from Minneapolis to save their ass. Know that. So whenever they're playing a game and they're not at home, it's an automatic loss. I mean, when is the last time they won a game that mattered on the road besides never? I mean, honestly, never. I'm done with them now. Like, I took a shot with them last night. Look what happened. They got thumped. So I'm done with them.
Kentucky beat Tennessee by 5 as 9.5-point dogs. So great win for Pope and the Wildcats last night. I'm going to skip that highlight because I only have time for one. And Luke is forcing me to play the other highlight that I'm going to have, which I'll get to in a moment. Marquette beat Butler. They were down for a little while in that game, and then they came back and did get the job done at the Fieldhouse. Kansas beat UCF. I don't know if you saw this play at the end of the game or not. The kid from UCF was driving. There was like a couple seconds left, trying to get a three off. Kansas fouls him. Certainly looked like he was shooting to me. And I thought it should have been three free throws and a chance to tie the game. They called it on the floor, little home cooking at Allen Fieldhouse.
It always is. It always is. And remember this, they lost in double overtime to Houston at home. They got served up a win last night by the refs, and they are not that good. Know this.
No.
Kansas is a phony. They are not a team, in my view, at all that's a Final Four team. They can barely beat anybody. At home, even.
I agree. Number 13, Texas A&M, they beat Oklahoma. The Johnnies
Sooners
down
covered.
in D.C. They did. The Johnnies down in D.C. against Georgetown last night. You talk about a buzzsaw in the first half. The Johnnies came out and took care of business on FS1.
10-1 Red Storm run. And now Peavy slow to get up. Up ahead to Lewis with one hand. Timeout, Ed Cooley. This is the largest deficit of Georgetown season, and it's because the 15th-ranked Red Storm have sent a message.
Someone sent me a clip, I got it before the show today, of Luke saying F. Farrell like multiple times after the Johnnies ran away with that game. He just was in a bar yelling F. Farrell, just over and over like a record, just skipping, just over and over.
Hey.
F. Farrell, F. Farrell, F. Farrell, F. Farrell, F. Farrell. Meanwhile, I like the Johnnies. I just thought that the Hoyas would give them a game.
I think it's going to be exciting around here in the New York City area. People don't pick up on it until you get to March with college basketball. But when the Johnnies are really good and they got a chance in a tournament, the city gets behind them in a pretty big way. So I think it'll be fun if Pitino could get the Johnnies a little deep, maybe even into the second weekend of the NCAAs. That would be outstanding. St. Louis beat VCU last night, but I thought the brawl in the stands was better in the game. See the throwdown?
I did.
I mean, that was
out
impressive.
of control last night in that game in the Arch City. Like, what was that? They were like animals. And I know Louisville beat Wake and covered at the Yum.
Yeah, that actually scores deceiving because I think they were up about 30 at one point early in the second half, and they let Wake kind of tiptoe their way back to a more respectable score. Arizona State won in Boulder in overtime. BYU overtime over Baylor. That was a hell of a game last night as well. Pitt beat UNC. He's having all kinds of problems. Your boy Hubert there at Chapel Hill this year. They might miss the tournament the way North Carolina's working right now.
Will they whack him? Will they chop him?
I mean, missed the tournament 2 out of 3 years. That's chopping territory in Chapel Hill. You're supposed to make the tournament every year at that place. So we shall see. And Gonzaga got a little revenge on Oregon State last night.
A little.
They absolutely
beat them by 38.
Beat them by 38 up at their place. You sent me this today. AP Top 25 by conference. Look at all the teams in the SEC.
Look at that.
There's 10
Look
teams
at that.
in the SEC. Then the Big Ten. The Big Ten and the SEC make up 15 of the top 25. Which is absolutely crazy. ACC, only 2 teams, Duke and Louisville. That's it.
That's embarrassing. It really is. And look at the AAC. Not that they matter, but they got one. They're like homeless.
They're like homeless, only having one. Indeed. All right, let's start tonight, and then we'll probably have to finish it after the break. Number 1, Auburn is where we will lead things off. They are in Baton Rouge tonight against LSU. I've got this now at 11.5 for Auburn. Houston visiting West Virginia tonight. They're laying 9.5 on the road. Wisconsin into Maryland. Maryland favored. Look out. Unranked team favored over the ranked team. You know I always love those. Texas Tech minus 12.5 against TCU. And the hairdryer city game of the night. Miami and Virginia down in South Beach. Minus 1.5 for the Canes.
I mean, honestly, like, Virginia should still win that game. That's how bad Miami is. I feel bad for Joe Z calling the games, and they're this pathetic. I still think Virginia gets it done. I like Texas Tech at home, and I think they'll win in Lubbock and get it done. I like Maryland at home to give. Look, they've been giving everybody fits lately. Why wouldn't they do it in College Park against the Badgers? It's brutal playing on the road in a Big Ten. Houston, I think, wins at the Coliseum in Morgantown. I'll just take a risk here with LSU and that fat number against Auburn. I know Auburn's number 1. You know they're going to take them lightly tonight at the Maravich in Baton Rouge. Hopefully LSU will show up and give them a game.
We shall see. Next, Virginia Tech and Florida State in the ACC tonight as well. DePaul facing UConn. That game's in Hartford tonight. Oak State and Kansas State. Wildcats 7.5. Creighton laying at home against Xavier. Alabama and Mississippi State. Mississippi State favored by 1.5 against Alabama.
Yeah, I'm not buying that. I think Bama wins that game in Stark Vegas. I like Creighton at home in Omaha. I love K-State over Oklahoma State. I think they beat the snot out of them. I think UConn in Hartford is the buy. I don't like DePaul leaving Chicago and going to Hartford to play UConn. UConn, as I've said a number of times, they're not three-peating anything. Like, they can barely stay ranked. They're just not that good. When your best player is some white boy, you know you're in trouble, except Cooper Flagg. The rest of them, nobody has a white boy leading anything except Duke, okay? Take a look around the country. And then Florida State at home tonight with Va Tech. I'd probably say Seminoles get it done in Tallahassee.
All right, I've got a few more for you when we come back, some of the late-night games. We will do those. If there's any others, stragglers that you have on your card as well. And then we'll get to the hockey for tonight. Couple of good
Everybody
games.
loves hockey.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Is this the team this year under TJ Otzelberger that can get Iowa State to the promised land at a Final Four trip?
Auburn is trending towards being the #1 seed in the South. That means first and second round games in Lexington, and then Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games in Atlanta. I have a hard time believing that a team is going to be able to go to Atlanta and beat the Tigers.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, what's left on the college scene? Because I got a ton of stragglers. I really do.
All right, good. We do have Texas, who, by the way, they've won some great games recently. Of course, Missouri, Texas A&M, that big comeback. They are in Oxford tonight against Ole Miss. Ole Miss minus the 6.5 now, actually, for that game. Cal and SMU, 11.5 for the Stangs. Rutgers visiting Northwestern tonight. Northwestern favorite at home. UNLV at Utah State. Didn't UNLV beat him in Vegas, right, Scotty? Isn't that the lone Utah State? One of their losses this year was against UNLV. And Cuse making the long trip to Palo Alto for an 11 o'clock East tip against the Tree. Stanford minus 11.5.
They're dead. They're going to get whacked in Palo Alto, and UNLV is going to get spanked in Logan by Utah State, the way Gonzaga treated Oregon State after Oregon State beat them in Corvallis. They got lit up by 38 last night. I like Northwestern and Evanston. Cal and the number against SMU. Stangs win, they don't cover. I like Ole Miss in Oxford. And then if I'm going to go through them, I'm going to go Boise, I like. And I'm going to go upwards. I still think St. Mary's is flat out better than Santa Clara. I think they get it done on the road. And then I like Illinois State to upset Belmont tonight at home. Bradley, I like laying the 8 against UIC, Illinois, Chicago. I like Arkansas State at Southern Miss. I like, I'm going through them right here. I just want to get them all. Indiana State at home in Terre Haute, laying the 5.5 against Missouri State. I like Texas San Antonio to cover to 9 in Boca against FAU. I think St. Joe's handles Duquesne in Philly. I like Rhode Island at home over UMass. I like GMU over the Ramblers. I like GW laying 8.5 against Richmond. I like Drake over Northern Iowa laying the 7.5. I like North Florida over Stetson Cologne. Mercer over Citadel laying 13. Jacksonville to cover 2.5 against Gulf Coast. I like Asheville laying 3. And I like Army getting the 6 and Furman getting the 2 against Sanford. That Army game is against Colgate Toothpaste. So those are all the stragglers that I'm interested in College Rack tonight.
That's a lot of them. So you like a lot of the straggler games this evening.
Why
in
not?
College Rack.
I mean, I told
not?
you, like, these NBA games will cut your toes off. I'm over here making money in College Rack.
Love it. Always prefer the College Rack. About hockey.
Everybody loves hockey.
Everybody does love hockey. How about the Islanders? 5 in a row.
Whoa.
With another win at the horse track last night. They beat Colorado 5-2. Nice job by them. Sabres smacking Boston 7-2. Double hat tricks for Tage Thompson and J.J. Peterka. Nice job there up in the Below. Jets beat the Habs 4-1. Chicago beat Tampa 4-1. I don't have time to play it, but did you see that Bedard goal that he scored from the circle?
Top shelf.
Right over the show. Just an incredible goal by Connor Bedard. Nice effort by the Rangers last night. They lost 4-0 at home to Carolina. Caps beat the Flames 3-1. I will play this one, though. Stars in Vegas tied at 3 in overtime.
And I had Dallas.
Wyatt Johnston finishing off the hat trick on ESPN+.
The
He's got a step and more. And he had the game on his stick, and he's denied. Jake Ottinger, what a save there. We go back the other way. Johnston got it across. Empty net. Wyatt Johnston caps it off for Dallas.
How about that guy, Wyatt Johnston, getting involved?
There was some bad news for Dallas. Miro Heiskanen left the game with a leg injury. That was a bad hit. He took a leg to leg. Not a good scene for him. One of their best defensemen, not good. And the Ducks beat Seattle 6-4 last night. Quack, quack, quack for the Ducks on the road at the Climate Pledge. I did see that article about Crosby as he was asked about the trade speculation. He basically said it's nonsense. I don't know how many times he has to spell it out. He doesn't want to leave the Penguins. He don't want to leave. Like, that's it. He's finishing it out in Pittsburgh, just like Mario did. Just like he's not going to go somewhere else. It's just not.
Listen, this is just a waste of time even talking about it. Like, it really is at some level. Like, and then they just keep pounding him with the questions. Like, it's just not in the cards, folks.
It is not. Let's get to tonight. We have 5 games in the NHL. Minnesota is in Toronto against the Leafs tonight. Leafs minus 172. I got it down to minus 155 now. Wild plus $1.40, 5.5 the total.
I mean, the price to get a goal and a half is too much. The price to lay the goal and a half is too much. $1.62. It really is insanity. Give me the over 5.5.
Panthers return home after that long trip of the West, and then they have a West team coming in. The Kings, who they played in L.A. last week, visit them in Sunrise. Panthers minus $1.50, plus 130 for the Kings, and a 5.5.
Yeah, I like Florida at home. I like them to win. I like them on the puck line at $1.70 if they can win by 2 goals. I think this is a tough game for the Kings tonight in Sunrise.
Flyers and Devils again at the Rock. Remember they played in Philadelphia the other day, and the Flyers beat them. Devils minus 196. Flyers plus $1.62 and a 5.5.
Yeah, tonight at the Rock. You know what's going to happen. Devils puck line. They'll win by 2 or more goals at plus 140.
Canucks are in Nashville against the Predators. Gabe was telling you all the problems Vancouver's having right now. Nashville minus $1.45. Canucks plus 125 and a 5.5.
Yeah, like, I still think Vancouver's better. I like his play. I like that $1.25. I think they can win in Nashville. I think the Predators are just overrated. I mean, they got a losing record. They don't do anything for me. Even if they win tonight, I still don't believe in them.
And the Penguins finish this long road trip in Utah tonight in Salt Lake. Utah minus $1.40. Penguins plus 120 and a 6.5 this evening.
I mean, they're almost identical records, these teams, but I got to take Utah at home in Salt Lake Shakers. Dan Bilesma getting even. Isn't he the coach? Is he up in Seattle? He's in Seattle.
He's in Seattle.
They suck too. I still like Utah and the Penguins.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Is this the team this year under TJ Otzelberger that can get Iowa State to the promised land at a Final Four trip?
Auburn is trending towards being the number one seed in the South. That means first and second round games in Lexington, and then Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games in Atlanta. I have a hard time believing that a team is going to be able to go to Atlanta and beat the Tigers.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Always good to end the evening not being nice, but talking bad about others in the break and then leading right into leftovers. And we've done a terrific job of that this evening.
We have done a terrific job of that. Let's get to the leftovers now. I always love taking shots at Hal Steinbrenner. Ooh. He went on the Yankees hot stove on yesterday, and he said, it's difficult for most owners to spend like the Dodgers. Imagine having the stones to hear that from this guy who's worth, well, we've been through this, the billions of dollars that Hal Steinbrenner and the Yankees are worth, and he's going to sit there and complain that the Dodgers are spending the money, and he starts getting into all this. Did you hear this guy, Scotty? Did you see him start talking about ROI, return on investment, and all? Yeah. Shut up. Like, honestly, nobody wants to hear him talking about ROI. Win a championship. Enough.
Do you know how expensive it is to go to a Yankee game and this guy's rate?
ROI.
They make more money per night than the Federal Reserve can make, that they can print out. Honestly, this guy makes more money than God.
Did you like this one, too? He thinks that Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt's production will make up for Juan Soto's production.
Yeah, sure. Paul Goldschmidt, what he hit last year, 200?
I mean, honestly, just keep him away from cameras and microphones. Just don't let him talk anymore.
His father's turning in his grave because he's the loser's son. You know, it's nepotism club. Can we start a new club? The nepotism club will give everyone a parking spot and a free ham sandwich.
Amazing. The Yankees did lose Tommy Kahnle out of the bullpen. 1-year deal in Detroit with the Tigers.
So what?
For 7.5.
He sucks anyway.
Throw another change up. Freddie Freeman is the top first baseman in baseball right now, according to people who think they know. In fact, look at this dopey list. Did you know? Like, look at this thing. This is MLB Network. Wilson Contreras has never even played first base. He's moving from catcher to first base.
And
yet he's a better
sixth.
first baseman than Christian Walker, Pete Alonso, and Gold. I mean, where do they come up with it? Like, where do they come up with this stuff?
Vegas.
Wilson Contreras. Get lost. Rory McIlroy thinks PGA Tour should scale back the number of events to help strengthen the tour. There's too much golf, he says, Scotty. As he promotes the TGL on Monday and Tuesday nights.
Go home to Europe then, like you said you were gonna, and play all the European events. Who needs you? If you don't think that we have enough golf here, then go play there where you're from. No one will care. Honestly, after about 3 months ago, whatever happened to that guy?
Rory did have some advice for Scotty Scheffler as he comes back this week from cutting his hand trying to make some pasta.
Oh, here we go.
Well, I think he made enough money to hire a chef. Like, it's like, why are you cooking yourself? I was hoping it was going to be a bit of more of a fun story than that. But, you know, we were together in Vegas on the 17th of December and played that match with Brooks and Bryson. So
nobody watched.
Firstly, just concerned and hope he was okay.
Playing in the dark.
It sounds like he is. It's good that he's teeing it up this week. But
get a chef.
Yeah, get a chef.
Get a chef.
Honestly, Rory. How about Rory saying he's not playing in America as much anymore? Honestly, he said he's not going to play in all these events.
Enjoy Dubai or wherever it is he's going to go play on the DP World Tour. Jake and Logan Paul suggest that their next fight is going to be against each other. I've seen people try to say that this is a big publicity stunt and that they're going to announce something super dopey tomorrow.
It's a reality
it's got nothing
show.
to do with
It's
a reality show or something like that. So God bless and good luck for all of them. The Utah Hockey Club has put 3 names up. They're again with the names. They're having people vote for them that they can't have the Yetis.
Yeah.
Utah Hockey Club, Utah Mammoth, Utah. Who? The what? What?
The Wasatch.
I mean, get lost. I mean, just call them the Hockey Club at this point. I mean, you got to be kidding me with this.
The Wasatch is a mountain range on the Utah-Idaho border. What is happening?
Get lost.
Varela finished. Visa approval crisis threatens to cost the 26th World Cup and LA Olympics. Millions in fans who cannot enter the country to attend games. Trump will not let anyone into the country for these big sporting events or anything else. 18-year-old Temple student dies after falling off a light pole while celebrating the Eagles' win on Sunday. New Orleans officials have already said, do not climb our light poles or you will be arrested. 2 Long Island women charged with sex trafficking in a case of a young girl's disappearance. They sold her crack rock. Awesome. ETD is next. Get my app because it's badass. Search Ferrall. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 on Coast to Coast.
An energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to the same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.